Tachyon rods are, I got the mega ones, but there are these rods that I use in my sessions. These have something called 0 point energy. And I don't know how to explain all the scientific stuff. You can go and look it up. But I have found that in my sessions with people, when I use these, so typically what I'll do is I'll have a client hold them, or if I intuitively feel, if I need to put them on a certain body part, like onto a certain space on their body, I will put them. This is just supposed to help with creating that space of accelerating their healing, accelerating their manifestations, right? I've actually worked with other practitioners. We've actually been like exchanging sessions, and they tell me as soon as that they put their hands on it, it's like, whoa, they feel like
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup.
Let's create that energy, ladies. This is the podcast where I bring together real women for real talk. I'm Kat, and you are watching Babe Unscripted.
I've never been in a room, with other women where there's such a sisterhood and such a deep understanding and such trust that we can talk, right? We can bring all these out.
I was listening to Jamie Kern Lima's book, chapter, I think it was 16 today. And she was talking about how too often we try to be with like-minded people, and then like it was like tied into like cancel culture and all that stuff. But then she got into like what you should be looking for are people who are like-hearted, right? And I love that term, and I really feel like the women that we've been with, right, have been like-hearted, right? Like we all have similar views because we're into the world of Tony Robbins, but we actually all come from like different cultures, different backgrounds, different businesses, right? And so there are some differences of opinion, but I really feel like we're all very like-hearted, and I think that speaks volumes for what we can achieve, to be honest. So I'm excited.
I want to pivot a little bit and move from healing and this deliciousness that we're talking about to my girl. I always see you doing that Latin dancing. Talk about the Latin, because I love Latin. I did. That's my thing. Okay, Latin music, salsa. Let me know, how did you get started? Are you a
Guess
one?
what I just did last night? I went dancing. So I was like, I'm serious. Like, if you check my stories, I was dancing last night. So yes, and that's another thing I'll share with you as well. And I'm going to tell you like how I started. But as a healer, I was actually scared to talk. I was scared to put that out there, like scared of like the judgment of like, oh my gosh, you can't be a healer and go salsa dancing, right? It's like, so I've had to work. I'm telling you, like working through the layers of like because Brenda, when you go dance, especially salsa dancing, I'm a bachatera. Are you a salsera or a bachatera?
Salsera.
Okay, I'm a bachatera, but I can hang. I can do my salsa. I think I'm pretty good. People tell me I'm pretty good, but it's a workout, girl. So for me, but the dancing just lights me up like no other. I'm like on a whole other planet. You know how it is, Brenda.
Wow. Okay, that's atypical, Diana.
I know.
I mean, talking about culturally, Asian women, we don't dance. We're not. I mean, if we're not seen, we definitely cannot dance.
I know, but hey, I'm a freaking manifestor, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here. That's why I have all these things now, because I'm here to expand other people that being like, yeah, but I like that. And it doesn't have to be salsa dancing. It could be something entirely different, right? It's like, yeah, I can like that too, right? I don't have to fit in these boxes. That's what manifestors are here to do. We're here to freaking bust out of these boxes and being like, no. So let me tell you how I got started. This is part of my journey, like you were saying, Catherine, about like you've gone through some shit. That right there, yes. That's how you start the initiation, is you got to go through some shit. So I went through my stuff, and part of my journey was being married to someone who was a narcissist. So you know how that stuff goes. So, but he was from Mexico, and when I would go to their family's house parties, so I didn't know this at the time, Brenda, but they were doing cumbia. You know what that is? She knows what that is. They were doing cumbia, and I just liked the dancing. I thought it was fun. I would try to like dance, but these were at someone's house, and these are people from Mexico, and you typically didn't dance with another woman that you were not married to, right? So that's kind of how. And I would try like as much as I could, and my ex-husband hated to dance, so like I would just sit there and I would just be like, I want to dance.
Sounds like my story, but go ahead.
Right. And so his friends, would try, but typically you didn't try not to do too much, right? Because you didn't want to, whatever. So, but that always carried with me. So I went through my divorce, and I always had this in my mind of like, man. And then guess what? Right before COVID, I was like, all right, I'm just going to go. This was right before COVID. I did like a personal development program. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to live my life. I'm just going to go do it. And then COVID happened. I never got to go pursue the classes or anything. And then so COVID also woke me up. I was like, why am I waiting? Like, why am I putting this off? So as soon as things started opening up, the first thing I did, like I was there for the first class in my city when they finally opened up. I was like stalking their Facebook page. We have a dance school. I'm going to give them a shout out, Seminea. And I was like waiting for things to start opening up. And so finally, there's like pictures of me wearing the mask. Things were opening up, but we were still like wearing the masks out here in Texas. I went with my little mask on, and I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know there was a style of cumbia and all this, but I was like, I want to go learn. So I went out there and I learned. I was super uncomfortable. I wanted to give up. I don't know how many times because I just couldn't get the footing, especially with salsa. Down here we dance salsa on one. Are you on two or on one?
I was told I was on two, but I'm freestyle, so I just, it's just a.
Okay.
Yeah, in New York we typically are on two because it's
on two, right?
Like the Dominican and Puerto Rican culture is more on two, but Cubans are more on one.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I was I couldn't get the footing right, but finally repetition, and then through this journey is also how I met my current significant other, my boyfriend. He's actually an instructor. So here we are, and he's made me that man. He's a very smooth dancer. So now people tell me like when I'm dancing, I'm very like, there's like a fluidity, if you will. Like he teaches me about the hands, like it Wes's women not to be like gripping. You just kind of let them guide you. And so, yeah, so here I am. And I've worked through my layers of trying to be the healer and trying to do my dancing and hiding. There was a period of time where I was like trying to do that but I was like, why happy? So now I'm like, you know what? I don't care. People are going to judge me, but I don't care. I'm just going to go do my thing. And I love it.
I love this so much about you because I also love dancing, and like that was how I grew up, right? Like after our parties were like we had, the sternals filled with food, and you ate and then you danced the night away. And but there's something so different about like living room salsa and living room merengue and living room bachata and then actual like professional dancing. And I remember always telling myself, like when I would see a couple that really like tore up, I'd be like, ooh, that's so sexy. You're gonna put that ugly face on because it just gives you like those emotions, like, oh, that looks so good. And so I said to myself, like, I really want to learn how to do that. And so my ex-boyfriend and I, we decided that we were going to do it together, and then we broke up. It didn't happen. But then I was like, I'm going to do it on my own, and I started taking classes myself. But then I tore my ACL, so I'm going to get back into it, and I'm excited because now I'm going to go visit you because we're going to go dancing. I think all of us should have a trip where we just like dance. That's what I think.
I already told her the other day. I was like, I'm coming over. We're dancing.
Yes. And let me tell you, anytime I go out of town, guess what I'm doing? I'm on my phone. Where can I go dancing? Right? At least because where I'm at, I live in San Antonio, Texas, and we're not as big as like Houston or Dallas. You have all these places. You pretty much know it's a small group of people. So you kind of like know all the dancers. So when I get the opportunity to go dance with somebody outside of my area, I'm like, yes, let me go. Do y'all ever go to festivals, congresses? Y'all ever go to those? You know what I'm talking about? No, if you're in the dance scene, the festivals and the congresses, y'all ever go to those?
I haven't been, but I've heard.
Yeah, I do it here in New Jersey. They always have it every year.
Yeah, I've only been to one congress. So if you don't know what a congress is or a festival, it's literally like it's like a duration. It can be like a week or 4 days. It's usually like from a Thursday all the way to a Sunday, and they have workshops during the day. So they have like different instructors or different performers that will come and teach you like their fancy like moves. And then at night, it's social dancing, usually from like 7 o'clock till like 5 a.m.,
Oh
like
my God.
nonstop dancing. So it's a really great place for you to go. I've only gone to one, which was last year in Houston. I went to a sensual bachata congress, and that's my favorite. So I'm telling you, I'm a bachatera, and I love bachata sensual. That's just like my thing. Of I think it's also because of the energy work, because it's like more flowy. It's almost like zouk, right? Y'all know zouk and like the Zumba. So like that's like my favorite. And went out there, had a blast. Actually, I've gone to two and just danced my little booty off till like 5 a.m. So they kicked us out and been like, okay, no more, go
Wow.
home.
I love
So
that. I finally started dancing. I went on to a cruise recently and they had like a club at nighttime. And I finally got back into dancing because I hadn't really
Oh,
done so long because of my ACL. And it felt so good. So
yes.
my knee still is not the best. I really can't do all the moves, but I think I just gotta like, keep on practicing and just honor the like where I can't do it, just, take it easy.
yeah.
Right? Until I get there.
And if I can also weave in now, weaving in dancing right into this work. So you moving your hips. This is also supposed to help you with moving a lot of your trauma that we store, especially as women. We store so many things in our hips, in our what's called our sacral area, just basically in your hip area, right? Your hip waist area. And so the movement, right, of just shaking your hips is supposed to be such a great way to release the stored energy. But also, Sue, or anyone that's listening, like when you start to think about dancing, because I also know too in the Asian culture, this is not very common. When you start to think about the dancing, at least for me, I'm a happy dancer. When I'm dancing, I'm like, they're laughing. Like, I'm just, some women are like having the straight faces, and I'm like, no, I'm a happy dancer. Like, I'm like the baby. It's wild. But, when you start to find things that get you into the present moment, right? Things that just create a lot of different joy, if you will, like that will change your energetic state. And that's why I feel like dance is such a great way. And however, there's so many different styles. You don't have to do Latin dancing. There's the East Coast swing. There's something called kazumba. There's country style. There's tango. There's so many different ways to go and move your body, right? And listening to the music. And for me, I love the dancing because there's a social aspect. It's going to sound a little taboo or a little crazy, but I like that I can go and see other people in a sense and just dance. I don't have to talk to them because I'm a talker. I'll be there all night talking. I don't have to talk to anybody because the music's so loud. So I just get to go in and say, hey, and then dance, and I get to get out, So it's like a
That's
nice
how
little,
I feel about yoga.
yeah, see? And I just get to
be active, right? Be physical. You get the physicality.
yes.
Yeah. No, I never was comfortable dancing, especially in public, believe it or not. And I was surprised that I could just let loose. And the first time that I was able to was at the Tony Robbins event. I'm telling you, before Tony Robbins event, you would never ever see me like just jumping up and down, being completely, unrestricted, right? Because it's that what does a, proper, right? Somebody, a woman who's from a properly raised family, kind of going back to that, you have to behave and act a certain way, right? It wasn't and so, yeah, the modesty thing. That's why, like me wanting to, every once in a while, like for me, that's a huge stepping out of the box.
Ooh,
I
Sue, I
love
got
that.
it down.
Not for nothing. I just want to add one quick side note. Every single Asian that I've ever met has always been a terrific dancer. Is a dancer. Like y'all got it in you. there's two things. This might sound stereotypical, but there's two things I typically find about Asians that I absolutely love is that y'all know how to dress. You always look so cute with your fashions and dance. Like whenever I see you dance, like you got the rhythm. So that's just been my experience.
Look at K-pop. K-pop is big and they dance, okay? And I know because I have a 19-year-old who got me in the K-pop, baby. I know how to dance the moves. You see me going like, something up the my dance. I'm like, what? She's like, how do you know that? I said, I always see you doing this. They're really good. Really good.
One last thing that I want to touch on before we go. I heard you say something earlier that I have not heard before, and that's why I love hanging out with beautiful women from all different areas of life. You were saying something about healing with certain types of rods. I didn't know what you're talking about. Can you share really quickly? Let me
I'm
learn.
so glad you asked.
Give us the rod. Give us the rod.
Oh my gosh. So these are called Tachyon Rods. They're actually a little harder to find, but there's Tachyon Rods. Let me see if I have them here actually. So I just went to go visit my dad. Here they are. I have them right here. So I went to go visit my dad. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to be a little vulnerable here. So I went to go visit my dad, and there's a family member that's been in my family that's been sick, and I've been wanting to do my energy work on them, but I also have to learn my boundaries and just wanting to be in that space of. So here's the other thing with the dilemma of healers is that you have to remember to, like how to help them, but they also have to come to you. And so I just want to share that I'm being a little vulnerable. That's an experience that I had to learn. So Tachyon rods I got the mega ones, but there are these rods that I use in my sessions. These have something called 0 point energy. And I don't know how to explain all the scientific stuff. You can go and look it up. But I have found that in my sessions with people, when I use these, so typically what I'll do is I'll have a client hold them, or if I intuitively feel, if I need to put them on a certain body part, like onto a certain space on their body, I will put them. This is just supposed to help with creating that space of accelerating their healing, accelerating their manifestations, right? I've actually worked with other practitioners. We've actually been like exchanging sessions, and they tell me as soon as that they put their hands on it, it's like, whoa, they feel like the energy. They're like, whoa, this is like so grounding. One practitioner, she didn't see the rod before, and she said that as soon as I put it on her hand, she immediately felt like this big weight, and she thought it was really big. She said that she felt the energy of it was so big. She thought it was a really big thing, right? Even though she was holding it in her hand. So after the session, she was like, "Can I see it?" And I was like, "Sure." And she was like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "I thought it was this really big thing." And I share this because she's a practitioner. And so she also works with energy. And for her to feel that, right? To feel the energy in her field also helped her with being more grounded, just kind of coming into a space that helped her. Because she says that in her sessions, that when she kind of comes into these spaces, she doesn't fully relax. So she's a manifesting generator as well. And she has a hard time relaxing. And so she felt that she was able to go more into her sacral center, if that makes sense. But I love to use these. So these are like different tools that I use in my sessions. These are something that you also want to use while you can meditate with it. You can speak to it and ask for it to help you with whatever you need help with, I guess. And they have these little covers that I use in my sessions. So I just like plop them in there. And then I just wash these. So these are it. These are my Tachyon rods. These are so cool. Yeah. So it's like, for me, I like to use different things. It's not just incorporating the Reiki and following all the instructions. I'm like, no, I got crystals on you. I got my Tachyon rods. Like, we're going deep in here.
Yeah, baby. I work a lot with crystals. I also work with tuning forks and like sound healing bowls and things like that. But I've never heard of Tachyon rods. So thank you so much for teaching me something new. I love that. I love learning.
What a fun. Today was so much fun.
Yes. Thank you so much, Diana. You are always such a joy. I love working with you. I love being with you. I know that we're going to have so many collaborations coming up in the future, and we are going to put Diana's links in the description below so that you can get in contact with her, get into her work, get into her social media, and create a relationship with her. And thank you so much, Sue, for being our guest co-host. You are always so amazing. If you haven't checked out our episode when we first interviewed Sue in season 1, you want to go back and do that because Sue's story is so miraculous and inspiring. And I know that you have some surprises and some good things coming up that you're sharing and creating with the world. You have your own podcast now where you do your cold plunging. So we're going to put the link to that below so you can check that out. And I know you have some things in the works that by the time this airs, I'm pretty sure that'll be up and running. So we're going to put the link to that below too. And I will see you guys next time. Miss Brenda, go ahead.
Thank you.
Diana, you have been babed.
My gosh, thank you so much for having me. It was truly an honor. This is such an amazing conversation. I hope that this is also going to expand anyone who's listening to this and just, be open-minded and just keep going into the unknown, as I like to say. So thank you.
Thanks, Diana. I'm very excited to explore some of the things that you've been sharing. I have my notebook. I wrote it all down. So next time.
Girl. Yes. Tell me your human design. Tell me your numerology. I want to hear it all.
I'm going to message you.
Yeah. Tell me. I want to hear it.
Okay.
Take care. Guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Babes Unscripted. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give us a like so we know what you want more of. And don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned because next week we'll be back with more real talk. Bye, babe.